So the air pirates were, it was some sort of bizarre concept to steal the air, pirate the air, steal the media. It was time, at that time, we were here, how, it was impossible for one person to stem the conservative tide. So 5 of us thought we would.
Right now, the current name for them, I guess, would be the Mouse Liberation Front. It's not very active.
Uh-huh.
Basically, in the 70s, this group of artists made a series of independent Mickey Mouse comics called the Air Pirates, where they had Mickey Mouse as a South American revolutionary that traded drugs and whatnot. And they were all very talented artists. And the whole point was that Mickey Mouse is a central idea of American culture. And 14 years had passed, so they figured, hey, according to copyright law, we should be able to do this now.
Mm-hmm.
But no, Disney sued the absolute crap out of them and made every single issue of the Air Pirates get pulled. And they all lost so much money and whatnot. And then, of course, later on, Disney straight up lobbied Congress. Like, they visited the White House in I think it was the 90s and everything. And they basically had copyright law itself changed so that ideas are no longer merely tied to the individuals that create them as far as copyright goes, but it's also the lifetime of the corporation that owns it, plus like 50 years or so. So Disney's going to be holding on to Mickey Mouse for forever, basically. And other people aren't going to get to play with the idea legally.
That's both. So I've heard this story before. I didn't know about the Air Pirates segment. I knew that like they lobbied Congress. I didn't know why. That's kind of interesting, and I get where they're coming from. Like, they gotta protect their brand, but at the same time, like, I don't know. And they're doing. Go on.
Like, enough time has passed, for crying out loud. There's respecting your intellectual property. And then there's just holding on to something for too long because you want to make a buck.
So they're doing what I generally believe that you should do when you want something changed. They went out there and they said, "Hey, we want this changed." I'd like to hope they didn't bribe anybody, but
that's how all laws work.
I imagine so. But we don't know. I wasn't in that backdoor meeting, and the thing that I learned just very recently is we can't presuppose intent. We cannot presuppose the why. Even when somebody tells you why, you don't know if they're lying to you. You know what I mean? In this particular instance, like, we can say that they're trying to protect their brand. We can say that they're trying to make a buck, but we don't know. We don't know why. We just have to deal with the fact that Mickey Mouse isn't going to be public domain in our lifetime. And we gotta just make something other than Mickey Mouse comics if we want to make an example of our American history and stuff, you know? And it sucks.
Yeah.
And the whole why question, it's nice to have answered, but with something like this, like, not even just something like this, just every now and again, you're gonna want the why, and it will not be there for you. And I think learning to accept that has been both very hard, but at the same time very liberating. Because it is so easy to just, like, not hate on everybody when you don't presuppose that they're trying to ruin somebody else's life. I saw a TED Talk recently with somebody who used to be at the Westboro Baptist Church, and something that they taught was, whenever somebody teaches something contrary to what you believe as a member of the Westboro Baptist Church, they're trying to ruin your life. They presuppose intent. That's where the hate comes from. That's where the hate comes from. We eliminate the presupposition of intent, and we just stick to solving problems. We will be better off.
True that.
And that is all I have to say on that particular front. I wish Disney would share, but at the end of the day, they're a multi-billion-dollar company, and we are two dudes talking on the internet.
Yeah.
We are so ridiculously small.
Yeah. I mean, my main thing with the whole Disney bit is I'm not going to connect it to anything else because I have strong opinions about quote-unquote anything else. But the way I see it is Disney already has 2 huge theme parks dedicated to the freaking mouse.
Mm-hmm.
If the mouse becomes public domain, they'll still probably make a good amount of money off of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like anybody's going to out Disney them with the character.
Mm-hmm.
So the only so realistically, I just don't see a whole lot of reason other than we want to make more money by being the exclusive purveyors of this mouse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm pretty sure that nothing there is about preserving, quote unquote, Walt's legacy anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that's just my 2 cents. And who knows, maybe they are all really nice people that just happen to do not so nice things because they want to respect someone that they like quite dearly.
You know? But, yeah. And I think that kind of gets down to the whole, question of how much is enough. I remember, when we were helping you move out to the new place, remember when me and Sam got into it about Apple's kind of goals as a company?
I think I remember a little bit, yeah.
But yeah, just for everybody who doesn't know, I am not too hot on Apple. I don't think that they make products to last. I think that it's dumb that they release a new product every year. But they make millions of dollars and pay more taxes than Microsoft, so I guess I'm okay with them. Oh, that's really interesting, though. Apple pays $15 billion in taxes. Microsoft only pays $3. Very interesting, and it's not because, like, Microsoft is doing extra stuff. My dad was listening to something, and he was getting into the reasons why Microsoft only paid X amount. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I should research this. And then 2 days passed, and I did not research it. But take my word for it, as some guy you don't know on the internet. It's true, 100%. You can trust me. But, anyway, I'm not too hot on Apple. And my whole thing was, what do they want at this point? If they made an iPhone and, like, just supported it until, like, the hardware just died on them, I'm pretty sure they'd make a good amount of money. Maybe not as much now, but just a good amount of money. And I get that they have stockholders and stuff, and their goal is to make them, like, more than a return on their interest. So that's why they keep the stocks up. But at the end of the day, when you got this mountain of money, like, my question is, like, what are you gonna do with it? Like, what's the end game? Make money so you can make more money? I never got over that, and maybe I'm missing something as some guy who doesn't have billions of dollars on hand at any given moment. But I always figured there was some threshold that you'd reach to where, like, just values as to your company would kind of override the money, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That make any sense at all? Am I a rambling madman?
No, it does. It does.
Okay, it's like
I think the issue is just that neither of us have come into a very large amount of money.
Okay. Well, that might be it, because they say money can't buy happiness, and, like, no, it can buy some stuff. It makes you comfortable, but there's a threshold to that. I always figured that there was, like, an even bigger threshold, like, once you had a whole bunch of money, but I guess not. I assume once we're rich and famous, we'll understand why Apple is just trying to make a whole bunch more money.
Yeah, I don't know. They should just do what Microsoft does do and create special charities that give a good half of what they receive to unfortunate causes, but then kind of keep the rest for themselves.
This is literally like millennials complaining about big corporations, the podcast.
Yeah, I can't wait until we're those big corporations. Because we are going to make it even worse.
Yay! It's all up to us. Oh! Speaking of up to us, how about that Kid Intense comic? Remember the comic I sent you not a bunch of weeks ago, a couple days ago?
Oh yeah, that one.
Yes, that one. The very good one that was a very high quality that did not suck.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, to me it looks like it actually was made by a kid, so I'm not going to criticize a kid that's probably not going to get a comic published in their lifetime anyway. There's no point to it. I'll just let him have his fun.
Let him have his fun? It's harmless, you say. Is that it? It's just harmless. There's no, just leave it alone.
Yeah.
All right, whatever. I think it's garbage. I think the guy who made it should feel bad, and I don't know. I was recording like an episode like of the Vlag a couple days ago, and I toured a new one basically. And I guess I was just mad because I was trying to write Purgatory and it wasn't coming out right, so I had to take it out on this guy.
Oh, I have felt that way so many times.
I don't know if I'm gonna finish that one up. I acknowledge like that's the source of my rage at the end of it, but that doesn't in and of itself make it okay. But I don't know. It's just I don't know. Like, imagine seeing a 5-year-old with hopes and dreams, and then having had those dreams and being 5 years old and having them not come true. You want to just tell him like lower your expectations, but at the same time, like, the 5-year-old is so self-assured about their success. Like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna make it. Screw you guys. I'm gonna have a pile of money to the point where you're like, you know what? I want to crush this kid's dreams. You know? I guess it's that self-assurance, that borderline arrogance. That's what makes you want to topple their dreams. But this guy didn't do any of that. He's just making something, and that's more that presupposition of intent. You know what I mean? And that's where the hate comes in. And now I look like a horrible person.
Yeah, no, it's fine, really.
No, it's
if the person's a grown up, then sure, it's nice that they're making something, but they could work harder at it.
yeah.
But if they're a kid, then yeah, there's no real point to it.
Mm.
Although I will say that there is probably a cutoff point to, oh, he's just a kid. That's probably around the time that the child learns about the whole Santa Claus spiel. Because after that point, I think it's safe to say that you can start laying on the real world. Okay,
so speaking of the real world, and I'm just gonna gush on my little sister for a bit because I had a good part in raising her. That's just because I'm like the older brother and stuff, and just kind of seeing like what I've done is both beautiful and horrifying. And like she came, so we were just talking a couple of days ago, and she's like, DJ, I'm like, yeah, I'm like, when, like, is everything ruined when you find out about sex? Like, what are you talking about? And she's like, one of her teachers is like having a kid, and then she's like, wait a minute, I know how kids are made. So of course that freaked her out because she really liked this teacher. Like, I can't imagine. I'm like, sweetheart, you don't want to imagine it. It's none of your business. And I'm like, oh man, what are we gonna do? We're done. It's over. Children.
Yeah.
Children. Do you want kids, Evan?
Well, right now I still don't even want to get in another relationship in my life. So I still have a whole lot of work to do on myself before I start working on another human being.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. And I'm kind of in the same boat. But I was just kind of thinking about how, like, when do we know, you know what, we're done working on us. It's time to get started on that youngster. When do you think that happens?
I don't know, when you're 30 and desperate.
Oh, there you go. Excellent answer. Excellent answer. Oh, man.
Yeah, that's probably how it's going to be with me. I'll be way too picky in my 20s, and then I'll get to a point where I'm much too late, meet someone else who is also much too late in their own lives, and we'll marry each other on a pretense of love, even though we both know that it's realistically just that we're too old. And the best thing we can hope for is to just be really good friends and focus on raising the children as best as we can.
There you go. I suppose that's a great thing to shoot for. But I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what I want, because kids are like little people, and you gotta, like, once you're past the whole taking a dump and throwing up on everything stage, like, it's literally, you're a teacher full time.
Yeah, totes.
And it's hard, this period. But what do I know? I'm just some kid. On a completely different note, let's talk about comics for a moment outside of Kid Intense. I'm a part of some comic Facebook groups, and you get some interesting types of people in there.
Yeah.
This one guy or girl, I forget who they were. They came on to this one page, and they're like, "Hey, we're award-winning filmmakers, and we're trying to figure out how to pay our artists." And I'm like, Why would you go to Facebook and ask that? This feels like a Google question, you know? I mean, and like, why would you name drop that you're an award-winning Australian whatchamahoozit when you could just ask the question? Like, we don't need your credentials if you're just asking the question. Are you assuming that you get preferential treatment because you made a movie? Congrats. You and every other 21-year-old are, like, on the same level now. Are you proud of yourself?
Come on. Australia doesn't have awards. The only award they have is not being killed by wildlife.
Seriously, though, everything over there will kill them. It's not even funny. Like, I know this one guy who worked security. He was, like, he's an Australian. I'm like, hey, so is it true that everything over there wants to kill you? He's like, oh, yeah, everything. You gotta check your shoes. You gotta check your bed. I'm thinking to myself, I couldn't do that. I couldn't live over there and smile all the time like this guy did. That's why they're so happy, because the alternative is death. And they're thankful for being alive at every single waking moment.
They don't even have squirrels, for God's sakes. The creatures knew when Pangea started splitting. Like, no, we saw the spiders crawl over there.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll stay in, Europe and America. It's just better that way.
Basically. But, yeah, whatever. So, like, they were like, hey, how should we pay our artists? And then everybody went in and they gave their 2 cents and all that stuff. Don't do this, don't do that, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, you say it like it's some universal blanket rule. But, and there's etiquette to this, obviously. But at the same time, there's a lot of case-by-case stuff. Know how to talk, know how to negotiate, find stuff that works for you, all that good stuff. Don't go on
definitely. Yeah, definitely case by case. That's something that I don't want to say is lost in our generation, because it's always been lost in every generation.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you're talking about fake news. That's been around forever, too. Mark Twain used to call it yellow journalism.
Yellow journalism. I love it.
And it had nothing to do with any sort of race thing, the name. I just want to make that clear. I studied it to make sure.
Mm-hmm.
It comes from, like, theory that, like, bile was yellow and whatnot. Even though they knew that was incorrect back then, they still had, like, the terminology and whatever. So yellow comes from bile, not race things. Just putting that out there before weird things happen, because weird things happen in this day and age.
I don't like how you had to clarify that, because there are people out there who would have taken offense. What, do you mean Chinese people, Evan, or Mark Twain? I would have been mad at Evan, though, even though he quoted it and it wasn't really his, like, what he specifically said. Okay, Evan, you're gonna love this.
Yeah.
This is about race. University of Texas, some frat was having a beauty pageant. A Mrs. Black University of Texas pageant. This biracial lady, she signs up. She wins. They post the results of her victory on not Facebook, Twitter, and there are people questioning her ethnicity. This one lady went, I don't think she's went through the struggles to be black, but congrats. Like, are you black? Can you prove it to me? She's been approached several times by people asking her that question. It's ridiculous. Like, you're not black enough, I'm sorry. You're literally not black. That's the quote. That's what people are saying. Like, she's not black enough. I'm like, that's ridiculous. You're ridiculous. I don't like Texas anymore now. I don't care how diverse they're trying to get. They're officially the worst of the worst. And, I don't know. Everybody's a deplorable now. Everybody. You can
that's weird to me, because, like, I know racism still definitely exists in Arkansas, but Texas is a lot more advanced than people give it credit for, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's weird that story came from there.
And people will say reverse racism, but, like, no, racism is racism. Like, there's no reverse to it, you idiots. That's literally racist. Like, she wasn't brown enough for some of these people. Oh my god. That is ridiculous. Honestly. What was I reading? Okay. Have you heard of color blindedness?
As you mean the ideology of safety or the actual physical condition?
When it comes to racism, color blindedness.
Oh, yeah. Where you're basically admitting that you'd rather not think about it, so you're bowing out of the argument, which I perfectly respect. Some people generally don't have the time to look things up, so it's much better for them to just kind of bow out of things than try and make arguments about things they're not completely informed on.
Yeah, that's pretty smart. The definition, as I've been told to it, is thusly. It's like, basically treating everybody the way they're being treated now. And I'm pretty sure that's not the correct definition, because if, like, so imagine having a weight on your leg for 20 years and then having it taken off. Supposedly, we're supposed to compensate. I when I say we, I mean, what do I mean? Oh, right. So yeah, when we, I mean all black people, because I'm the spokesman for every black person. I'm the leader. I'm the chairman of that whole convention that we have. That's how. That's where we vote as to who's the best basketball player. I don't.
Oh, you got invited to the convention?
Yeah, I finally did. You know.
See, I missed my invitation to the League of Rich White People that get to control everything, you know?
Yeah, let me tell you something.
I don't know why. Maybe it just fell out of the mailbox. Maybe I'm not rich enough. Who knows?
Yeah, you know, like I told you, like I'm on the committee. We make those meetings, so I got to go to that convention, and I got to set up the reparation money that we're not going to get. But if we do get it, it's going to be a fat paycheck, Evan. Let me tell you that. But theoretically, if we've had a chain around our ankles for 20 years, and then the chain gets taken off. We're still 20 years behind, supposedly. Supposedly, we're supposed to get compensated and get pushed up with the other people who are ahead by 20 years. And as much as I understand the sentiment of we should be compensated, it makes for a cooler story when it's not somebody else's responsibility. We just take care of our own business. You know what I mean? If that makes sense at all. Yeah. Basically, like, affirmative action or, like, special grants just because you're black. I get that. I understand that. I'm not decrying that. I'm just saying I think it's a great idea to kind of look past that, because when you start, like, putting race into everything, it'll just go back around to the way we had it before, if that makes sense. Like, you're not the same color as me, you're lesser, all that stuff. I don't think we need any of that. So, like, I get it. I understand the methodology behind it. You want to try and give back to people who have, like, been systemically oppressed. I think we should work on the systems instead of just providing temporary monetary incentives for getting out of it. But I'm more for lasting solutions, you know? And I think, like, just learning how to, like, just take care of yourself is better than food stamps or, like, other stuff, you know? Dang it, I feel like I'm coming off as ignorant, and I'm not sure. I don't want to sound like an idiot, Evan. I don't want to sound like an idiot, but dang it.
Well, you're explaining your ideas clearly, so to any sensible person that should automatically make you a non-idiot. To any sensible person, if you can explain your ideas and your reasons for having them effectively.
All right, let's cancel out.
People can certainly disagree, but they can't. I don't feel like they can really call you an idiot if you can make a reasoned argument that follows the rules of logic.
Okay. You know what? Okay, I got it. I got the perfect thing. Give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish, he eats for his entire life. You know? And
yeah.
I get
Feed
that.
a man to a fish, and then he's, probably still fine for the rest of his life.
Yeah. I mean, he's dead.
The fish is definitely fine.
Yeah, fish is
whole
fine.
Man,
the guy
good
is
gravy.
dead. But yeah, that whole deal. And I understand, like, empowering people to learn, that's great, but I'm a fan of lasting solutions. Stuff like that. And I think this should be available to everybody, not just, black people. You know? And I'm black, so I'm allowed to say it. Like I said, I'm on that committee who makes the list of the best basketball player ever. You will never see a white person on that list because that'd be insane. Larry Bird was a mistake. It was a misvote. And I've since corrected it, so it's all good. But yeah,
I don't know. The way I see it, some communities still don't have the social tools to advance properly because of inherent racism. But they are a lot fewer communities than it used to be. Like I said, Arkansas is still pretty messed up, but Texas is getting pretty chill. It really. all depends, as always.
Yeah, it's case by case. You can't just be like, everybody from here is racist. Everybody who wears this shirt is a bad person. It doesn't help, dang it. It doesn't help. We gotta get to the why. Long-lasting solutions. Da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah. I will say that one positive thing about this generation, which is probably the only positive thing you will hear me say, is that I noticed we tend to think about things in more complex terms when we aren't just screaming at each other. So hopefully once the older generation dies, maybe we'll start screaming at each other a bit less, and we can be a bit more reasonable about things.
Okay.
But at the same time, I know the screaming is just going to get louder instead.
Evan, have you seen the video of that guy going to Berkeley with Pepsi sodas?
Oh, I have.
Yes!